Welcome to Apricot Cottage Studio. Today we're making a special card and a wee gift that's included in it. And we're going to do a little bit of recycling as well. So we're going to use the lovely Poinsettia petals from Stampin'. And you know that I've been using this a lot if you've been following me. Today we're going to make a card, and I'm going to show you how to make one card, but it's the same concept, just a very different style with different papers. And what's special about this card is that it has a removable decoration. So it's tied onto the card, and it could be taken off just by untying the little ribbon underneath and then used on a Christmas tree or as an ornament. So this one is a girly version, and this one's a little bit more rustic. And we're going to make the rustic one today together. So to make my card, what I'm using is some discarded lids off of the canning process. Once you've used them, you're not supposed to use them again. So I like to recycle them. And the way I've done that is I've cut a piece of sparkly paper using the layered circle dies. If you don't have these are an essential. Use them all the time. So I've cut the outside, and at the same time I cut the inside because we're only going to see the edge of this sparkly paper, and I want to be able to use this for another card a little bit later on. So I'm going to glue this sparkly, and I'm going to cover up this brown ring, the rubber ring that's on the outside, by putting some glue, and on the inside of this as well, and layering this sparkly ring, and then I've got another ring to go inside. I could have just cut it with the sparkly paper, but I find things don't glue very well to the sparkly paper over time, just because there's a little bit of a gap there. I find the smooth paper works better. So once I've got that lined up, then on the back I'm going to glue another circle with the serrated edge, and I'm going to just glue around the silver. This glue dries clear, so it doesn't matter if I'm a little messy with it today. And then I'm going to put this on the back, and I'm going to leave a little bit of the silver showing just for decoration. Looks like that. And then I'm going to take one of the beautiful poinsettias that I've cut out of the velvet paper, and I'm going to glue that on the front. I'm going to use quite a bit of glue, just because if this is a decoration, it will need to be sturdy. And I'll press that in place. And I've got some leaves, but if I use the whole leaf, it's going to stick out too far in the decoration. So I'm going to cut that in half. And luckily, the way it's shaped, there's a pointy end on both sides, so I can tuck one edge in here. Underneath the flower, and this, make sure that the embossing for the leaf is facing out, and put that one on an angle just like that. And then I've punched out with a designer paper some of the berries and use the die from the set to punch them out, but they're a little long, so I'm going to trim them so again they don't stick out too far, like that. For the first one I made, I used silver for the berries because I had those left over from another card. For this one I'm going to use the berries that it comes with, and just sticking out the edge like that. So that's what that looks like. Now on the back, I'm going to label the word joy. And what I've done is I've used the Joy die set, and it comes in 3 pieces. So there's a backing piece, which I've cut out of green, and then a shadow piece, which I've cut out of the flocked white paper, and then the Joy piece, which is the word, and it's very skinny. And I've layered them together. So I've done the red velvet word. So I'm going to put that on the back. The decoration. Like that. And then I've got some very tiny little stamping letters, numbers that came from a Stampin' Up! Set that's now retired. And I only have the 2 numbers, 2O, but I'm going to stamp 2O, 2O. I'm sure we're going to remember this year. And I stamped it in lipstick red, so that's what that looks like. Now in order to hang it, I want to punch a hole, so I'm going to use my crocodile where the small hole is, and it punches right through metal like that. And there's my decoration. Now, how do I attach it to the card? So it's a simple card that I've made. I've just layered the poinsettia paper. On one side it's got the berries, and the other side it's got a wood grain. So this one is a little rustic, so I've used the wood grain paper and another piece of the designer paper at the bottom. And I've stamped the word Merry Christmas from the stamp set with my sparkly white embossing powder. You could just use white, because I think that it's not carried anymore. And layered it with a piece of red velvet. And now I would need to make some holes to thread my decoration on and make sure that it holds on. So I've got a hole punch with a very, very tiny hole, but you could also use a needle. So I'm going to put it in as far as I can possibly get it in, and then on the other side turn it around and line it up as best I can so it's straight. So now I've got 2 tiny wee holes in the card, and I want to attach my decoration like that. And I've got a little trick to show you. So I'm using some red linen thread that came in one of the Stampin' Up! Kits. And I'm going to fold it in half. I've cut a length, good size length, and I'm going to poke it through the hole. And I'm going to use this little gizmo. This is a teeth threading thing, and you find it in the dental department. And I'm going to just thread it through like this. So I have my loop, and then put my ends through the loop like this. And there's my decoration that will hang. So the poinsettia on the front. If you wanted to double-side it, you could put poinsettias on both sides. But on the card, it makes it sense to have a flatter back. So now I need to lace it through the holes. So I can open up the string and put this little gizmo through one of the holes and loop one piece through the loop and pull it through. Much easier than using a needle or threading it by hand, trying to poke it through that tiny little hole. But if it's a tiny hole, it's not going to show up as much on the card and be distracting. So then I'm going to take this side, put it through the loop, pull the little plastic piece. It's like a very flexible needle, like this. Then I'm going to turn the card over, and I'm going to tie a firm bow. Make sure the decoration is up tight. You could double bow it, but then people may have trouble getting the decoration off. There we go, a little bow there. It says, "May magic and wonder bloom this holiday," and that's from the stamp set. And adjust it a little bit. And there's our card. So this is the one, it's a rustic one. This one's a little bit more feminine. For the insert on the poinsettia, of course, I've used those beautiful pearls. And for the little poinsettias that came out of the same set, I'm going to use the From My Heart jewels, just to give them a little bit of glimmer in each of the little tiny poinsettias. And I've cut out the word joy again and put that on the front. And on the back of this one, I've cut "May magic and wonder bloom this holiday in 2020. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you give this a try. It's a beautiful set. And I'm going to be on to snowflakes next. Come and join me.